Good morning. My name's Robin. I'm from Permajet. This morning we're speaking to Kedar, who is a photographer and fine art printer based in Mumbai in India. Right, Kedar, this morning what we want to talk about essentially is papers and paper selection and archivability and how these kind of things are viewed in your marketplace. So how essential do you think it is for archivability of papers to your customers?
In India, if you look at it, archivability of papers at the moment is still, not completely understood by my customers. I have to explain to them why the archivability is need to be there and what's the benefits of it. Like if you take a market from Europe or US, archivability of paper is given. Nobody asks for it.
Yeah, sure.
Today, I have to explain to a lot of my customer why the archivability is necessary and how it can add value to their art.
Yeah.
More on it.
Well, we went through that whole process probably about 8-10 years ago. We went into archivability of paper and ink, and it's a very important part, very, very important part of what we do. So I can understand entirely where you're coming from. It's just reliving itself.
It's like going and explain to everybody today. People don't understand why these papers archivability is so necessary, and because of the cost, obviously, because these are expensive than other papers. And that's how it's more on education today in India to tell people what papers we should use.
Yeah, I think the whole market, when we first started way back in 1999, our biggest issue was we needed to educate the whole market along with one or two others of our competitors who were doing the same thing. So it's good that it's already starting in India, and it's great that there's people like yourself who have knowledge and expertise, because these people need to be educated. It's the only way forward. So
the difference only, I think, Robin, is more where at your place, you guys who were suppliers of papers and manufacturers of paper did that, educating your end customers. And here, unfortunately, all the suppliers do not do anything in India as such. So it comes to us who are printers, who use your material and then educate the customer, that kind of thing. So there is little shortcomings of that, because manufacturers are not playing major role into that in India yet.
Okay. I mean, I think what you'll find probably is that as time goes on and the market grows, you'll get more involvement from more manufacturers. Do you get much support from people like Epson and Canon on the printers? Is there much talked about with what types of inks are used to gain archivability?
Other than selling the machine and servicing it, no support, unfortunately.
No support at all?
No support other than the selling and servicing the machines. Both Epson or Canon don't do much with the printers here to, extend the market more. Probably those companies targets India more on a personal use of printers, directly, than the commercial use of printers into fine art printing. A lot of they do all the support, but this is a very niche segment with archival printing. I don't think both of those companies are doing any supports in India as such.
Okay. And what about colour management? Is colour management played out? Is X-Rite present in the market?
Yeah, X-Rite present in the market, but it's still more on the publishing part of it, like commercial publishers and others. Very less again into archival printing and a fine art printing. There are few printers who does that with X-Rite and I1 and others, where they do their custom profiles. But it's still, again, the publishing part more than the direct printing the artworks.
So are you aware of the fact that as a business, we have made some independent tests on paper and ink combinations, and we publish these onto our website so that people can see them? They've been done with Epson and Canon inks. Is this something that is of interest, do you think, in the marketplace that you're in?
Because today we are in a stage, I think probably you guys were some years back, and we are educating our customers more. So the third party, accreditation or any kind of proofing will always help in getting the customers to know about all the information which they can have before they go for particular papers. And the third party certification always helps removing the bias. So the customers, I think, probably will understand that more when there is a third party certification. But again, as we are educating on archival papers, archival inks, and a fine art printing more now, I think we need to also educate about those third parties, like whether it's a Artsure in UK or Williams or whatever is available.
Yes.
We need to educate our customers also on those, so they can independently check on their websites about what is archivability again.
Yes. No, that's great. That's good. So, okay, how do your customers and how do you go about choosing the best paper for a particular image, whether it's gloss or oyster, satin, matte, fine art? How is that an important part today?
Quite a very important part, because today, if you look at my customers, nearly 70-80% of them need my help and suggestions about choosing the papers. Yeah. I still have a few customers who knows about papers and they specifically ask for a particular paper, where my role is only getting a good prints to them. But nearly 70% customers, I need to explain to them about choosing a right paper for their artwork. That's why I wrote that blog on our website about how to choose the right paper or right media for your artwork, whether it's an artist, painter, or photographer. We need to start from finish, matte, or a glossy to everything, They don't, because printing in the art world in India is still quite a basic stage, We have not gone really ahead, except exhibitions and other things. Individual printing by photographers and printers is still less, I think. Very, very less. So probably this whole information wasn't there before about how to choose the right paper. How can paper add value to their own work? Yeah. How can it changes their own visualization differently? So that shoot to print, from photo to print, that journey for artists also need to be taught in India today.
Well, it's really interesting that you've actually written a blog at the same time as we've published a thing called The Knowledge, because as much as our market might be more developed than the Indian market, we are still in that situation where customers need help and advice as to how to choose the right paper. What's the process? Ultimately, it becomes a gut feel and it becomes personal, but they need that little assistance to get them started traveling down an avenue and a road where they see things, try things, and then decide what's good and what doesn't work for them personally. And it doesn't matter whether they're a photographer, a graphic artist, or an artist, a painter. You still all have that same need for assistance. So it's really good timing. You're very well advanced in your market sector then, really.
Yeah, because I have understood one thing today, people like to make an informed decision, you know. So you have to be there to inform them before they make decision, what are availabilities and what are the chances of going wrong and right, for them. Ultimately, decision is theirs, but you have to provide all the information to them to make those decisions. And today everybody goes on Google, and check for all those information. But I thought today they were getting all this information from companies like your company, your websites, and other places. Why not make something from India itself? And that was the reason to make that blog, where people can understand that we have a similar papers available in India. That kind of thing.
I think that's really important, because there's nothing more important, as far as I'm concerned, than going into a marketplace and working with a partner in that marketplace. Because, as you know, we don't know the specifics about your marketplace. We understand what we do and we understand the product and how it can be utilized. But having a partner that understands the local market is key to driving the success.
And for me, having to have a supplier like you who always give a technical support is also very important for me, because then I can pass on that technical knowledge to my customers.
Yes.
to make informed decisions,
Right.
That's why I love working with you guys, because you give me a lot of technical support.
Great. Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. So, okay, how does texture play a part in customers' choice of papers? Is texture and smooth in terms of fine art? And I know that's your personal love, is the fine art side. Is texture and smooth? Are people worried about it, concerned, or?
I think at the moment, out of all my customers, the only people who ask me for a textured paper specifically is or the digital illustrators or a digital artist, on the Procreate and those people. They specifically ask me for texture paper. Probably they need to create that painting kind of effect or some artwork kind of effect in their digital art when they print it. But still, it's at a very nascent stage, Robin, here, the knowledge about it. Because they don't ask me a particular texture, it's just at the moment a textured paper.
Right, okay. Yes, I understand. Yeah.
So they don't understand between gallery etching and museum heritage, what is the difference between, about the textures and how it can actually uplift their work itself more by using the right textured paper. Yeah. So at the moment, we are at a stage where I'm just trying to promote textured paper, and a lot of artists like that. And for that reason, also, we have created a demo print pack for texture papers where we give different texture papers, same artwork printed at a very, very discounted rate to them. So they need to understand whether it's a texture paper of a 3 different, brand names or different names, but it has a different texture and different output. So we are now at a stage where now we have gone from a smooth and texture to wow, different textures are there.
Yes, okay.
Still, the basic stage is there is a smooth and textured paper which we have to tell them. And probably after doing some work with texture paper, they will understand more about less textured, more textured, all those kind of things.
It's a learning curve, yeah,
completely.
Okay, so texture is important. What about things like canvas? And we understand in Europe very much that a lot of canvas comes from India. And here we are trying to sell canvas back to you, but along with we doing things like coatings and varnish. How is that an important part of the working in India?
A lot of important part, because when we are talking about a fine art print and fine art canvases, there is enough kind of a duplicate canvases or a duplicate art in the market, which is just printed on any canvas and wrapped and sold as a art,
Yeah.
But it doesn't have any archivability. It doesn't have any protection. In 2 or 3 years, the color fades.
Yes.
So those all protective compounds, whether it's a varnish or it's a protective spray, helps me in creating a completely different segment of archival canvases and gallery wraps in the market, which we can protect from dust and your prints and your small scuffs and scratches.
Yeah.
And also it doesn't actually give you any kind of impression that it's varnished. Because of water-based and archival varnish, actually people need to know that it is protected. They just can't see it.
Yeah, sure.
And that matters a lot, because you are giving without any hindrance to the art itself, but you are protecting it from some kind of weather elements. Again, under conditions.
Yes.
It means you will not be able to take it out and put it in the sunlight and, in the rainy kind of thing. But indoors, I think these protective layers helps a lot in increasing longevity and physical longevity, not just the color longevity of the art, but the physical longevity can grow. We have a lot of dusty environment in India, it's not a dust-free environment.
Yes.
And these all protective layers helps ultimately from dust more than anything else.
Okay, yes. So that's interesting. Interesting that you never think about it, but now you say that the dust on. When we see India on the television, it's a dry, arid environment. So, okay. What about the differences in the types of coating? Do people go for glossy or matte art finishes?
In a fine art space, is still more matte finish.
Okay, yeah.
Not many people even get into glossy prints. And a glossy canvas is completely a signage canvas. It's nobody asks for glossy canvas print as such. So in fine art world, it's still a matte canvas and a matte varnish. And if specifically anybody wants a glossy canvas, probably they will get a latex printing done on the glossy canvas from some outdoor signage guy.
Yeah,
so that's a huge industry in India, and it's very cheaper.
Yeah.
And there are multiple guys have the Rolex machines and others who does that kind of work. So, but very less people do a matte inkjet canvas in a fine art world, and that's where we are trying to put ourselves. So we are not promoting glossy varnish or a glossy canvas much. We are yet into a matte canvases and a matte varnish and a matte protective spray anywhere as such.
So to sum up, really, what you're doing is your interest is fine art printing. You're printing for artists and photographers.
Yes.
You like to take people down the archival stability route and the quality finish. And that is the whole nature of what NatureWorks is about, and the whole...
Yes, completely. It's more customized space. It's not the very wide commercial space of business. But I would like to stay into that very niche customized segment to educate people and photographers and artists about fine art printing.
Yeah.
Get them the archival, those are archival medias and the protections like varnish and other protective sprays there. And, people should start appreciating their own work on the archival prints more,
Yes.
Because I have learned one thing from my own experience as a photographer in India and with a lot of other people. A lot of people in India have stopped printing their work because they couldn't get a good prints of their work over the years.
Yeah.
And so first is that give those good prints so they start printing their own work, and creating a fine art printing of your own need a lot of investments. So as a photographer, artist, to having a small printing studio at home is always going to be expensive matter, because the end market of selling those prints is very less in India yet.
Sure.
The photographer selling the prints is still at an nascent stage. But today it's globalization. Today people can sell their prints across the world, They may be sitting in India, but they can sell it. And that's where we are trying to promote archival and fine art printing to a lot of photographers and artists in India. So their market can open up, We are sending prints across the globe today because of globalization in logistics and services. So I think it opens up more opportunities for Indian artists to sail on the world stage.
Yeah.
If they have a printing, such kind of customized printing available in India, which standards are as good as globals, archival media, archival protection, all the custom profiles and the paper profiles are matched, color matched.
Yes.
So I think the artists probably will get more opportunities all across the globe to sell their work if they understand a little bit about printing and use that.
Yeah. Great. Wonderful. Well, I'm really pleased that we're working with you, and I'm really pleased that you've found a niche and you can carry on. I know I Googled fine art printing in India, and your name came right at the top of the list. So well done.
So that was completely organic. We have never paid for any advertisement on Google, but we are happy. The customer feedback is good, and probably we like to remain into that customized field than becoming too big and telling people we can't do your work kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we would like to work with artists to support them from printing to delivery to their customers directly. And we are trying to achieve that with support of Permajet and other companies who give us a really, really good media. There is an input we need to match with output with a very, very good in between. And that all in between is you guys who give such a beautiful media to us.
Well, thank you very much indeed. Thank you for sparing your time this morning. We've really enjoyed talking with you, and we'll be working with you closely.